relocation of people threatened by famine continued by force. More than 500,000 people had already been moved. There were plans to move a further 5 million. At least 30,000 people died on these exhausting journeys. The Belgian charity Médecins Sans Frontières spoke out against the relocations and was forced to leave the country. Mengistu seemed unmoved. In Tigray, the war dragged on. Elsewhere, in the countryside, houses were moved closer together to allow easier surveillance. Landholdings became collectives, more regroupings. Mengistu standardized agriculture, but only succeeded in destroying natural balances. Mengistu standardized institutions too, and finally created the one-party state demanded by the Soviet Union.
ለኢትዮጵያ ሕዝባዊ ዲሞክራሲያዊ ሪፐብሊክ ነጻነትና አንድነት ለመቆም
Eritrea. Mengistu's offensives have failed. The rebels have reorganized and once more surrounded the towns. In the villages controlled by the Eritrean People's Liberation Front, former differences are put behind them. In Eritrea, as in Tigray, the rebels are united. Meles Zenawi, leader of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, will soon become president of Ethiopia. Using heavy arms and machine guns captured from the Ethiopian army, the Eritrean and Tigrayan fronts went on the offensive towards the towns. Conventional warfare took over from guerrilla actions. Almost all of Tigray and Eritrea was liberated. The government remained in control of only 3 towns, Massawa, Asmara and Aksum. Once they were taken, the road to Addis Ababa would be wide open. Once more, Mengistu looks to Moscow for arms and aid. On top of everything, he's had to face an attempted coup. He needs aid. But Gorbachev has nothing to offer but smiles. Mengistu's soldiers are being routed and the end is near. The remaining towns fall to the rebels. There's nothing between them and Addis Ababa. Nothing and nobody can save Mengistu. His only chance is to flee. Addis Ababa is left empty, with power for the taking. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's political factions meet in London to negotiate. The meeting breaks up after only 3 hours. It's decided that a transitional government will be led by Meles Zenawi. Eritrea is to become an autonomous province until it gains its independence. Isaias Afwerki, the leader of the Eritrean People's Liberation Front, comes to legitimate power. It's nearly over. Addis Ababa is very close, just behind that hill. And this is the palace, what's left of it. It's over. Soldiers surrender their weapons on the outskirts of the city. They won't need them anymore. The war is over after 30 long years. Mengistu is hanged in effigy after fleeing to Zimbabwe. And under the watchful eye of UN representatives and of Isaias Afwerki, the leader of the Eritrean independence movement, and under the presidency of Meles Zenawi, a national conference charts a new course for Ethiopia. It is to be a democratic regime based on regions and a multi-party system.
We are taking note of it.
A new idea in Africa, democracy. Celebrations in Eritrea. The end of the war, freedom now, and very soon, independence. In UN-controlled elections, 99% of the population vote for independence. He's now the president of an independent nation, Eritrea. They have fought together. They're also cousins, and both from Tigray. 3 good reasons for the establishment of good relations between the two countries. The price of freedom and peace. All that remains is to exhume the past in the form of the assassinated emperor. This is all that's left. The King of Kings, Haile Selassie, 225th descendant of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. They're far from us. They have become part of history after much grief and pain. In 1 century, they've been subjected to feudal power and then dictatorship. They have paid a heavy price for their freedom. They're still the poorest people in the world, and their attempt at democracy is still fragile. But after so many storms, the grass is